here are some of my great family favourites, all tried and tested at home, and the family thoroughly approve. And as you may guess, I have included a chocolate cake. This one is death by chocolate cake. I've got lots of hints and tips to help you on your way, and many of these you can do a day or so ahead, keep in the fridge. You can freeze them. They're all easy, so have a go. So if you wonder what I'm up to, I'm crushing my biscuits, digestive biscuits, and it really is a very good way of doing it. They're in a double plastic bag, and you can get them just to the texture that you like, because I can feel gently and squash the lumps and see them, and it's all very quick. And here they are. That's it. And they're just right. If there's one or two not quite crushed, just give them a squash like that. So, to make the crumb crust for the easy lemon cheesecake, first of all, melt the butter, pour that into the bowl. Don't get it too hot, and don't let it get brown. Then in goes the demerara sugar. That's the coarse brown sugar. Put that over there out of the way. And then those biscuits that we've crushed. And you see they're just the right texture. And of course, if you do them with a rolling pin, they shoot all over the kitchen floor, and it's very annoying. Somebody's got to brush them up. Then mix all that together, and don't worry if there are still a few lumps there. It all adds to the texture. Then tip them into a flan tin. I've got a rather pretty one here, a white one. You could use a loose bottom tin, and there's no need to grease that. Just tip it in. Every scrap out, that's it. And then squash them down, use a metal spoon, and you may find it just a little bit tricky at the edges there, because if you push it like that, you see just in the corner there, you get a thick layer. Don't do that. Push it so that you get a thin layer at the edge and thin going in. And that takes a few minutes, so believe it or not, I've got one ready. This time I've done it in an ordinary flan, a loose bottom flan tin, and again I've got that thin edge there. Now to the filling, all very easy. I've got some cream cheese here. It's a low-fat cream cheese. It's nothing new, you know, about cheesecakes. They've been going since the 13th century. Now here goes in all that wonderful condensed milk. Can you remember when you were little, you used to have it in tubes and dip your finger in it and keep a tin in the fridge and go back to it? There it is, all out. The whole tin, that's right. Then I'm going to add lemon juice. Now that's the juice of 2 large lemons. Then lots of rind. If you can't be bothered to take all the rind off the lemons, it doesn't matter. Have as much as you can be bothered to grate. That's it. And then cream. Now I bet you imagine, I can't think how that's going to thicken. Well, there's a reaction between the lemon juice and the condensed milk. And I'm going to whisk that. You can do that with a balloon whisk, but I've got an electric mixer here. So let's turn it on. I was going a bit fast there. It could have gone all over the floor. That was lucky. Can you see that's now getting thick without any effort at all? Let the last bit come off that. Push it over there. And then just turn it round, and you see it's a lovely thick consistency. So just pour that in. You can see the consistency. Now that, when it's kept in the fridge overnight, or at least 4 hours, that will begin to set. Just decorate with swirls of cream, or a good blob of cream, and then perhaps strawberries, raspberries, or even grapes. And this is a traditional cooked continental cheesecake, made from eggs and curd cheese bought from the deli counter. And by the way, it's meant to dip in the middle, which makes a perfect place for a fruit filling. And now caramel custard, very easy to make at home too. I'm starting off by making the caramel. I've got 3 tablespoonfuls of white sugar in here. It can be granulated or caster, and 3 tablespoonfuls of water. And I'm doing this over a low heat at this stage, and it's, as you can hear, it's rather gritty. It is important to dissolve it slowly, stirring all the time, because if you boil it before it's dissolved, it will very likely crystallise. So now that's dissolved, it's clear, and notice I'm not getting a brush and brushing down the granules on the side. That's what the chef's doing. It's totally unnecessary and something else to wash up. So at this stage, first of all, discard the spoon, now the sugar is dissolved, put that over in the sink, then turn the heat up and boil rapidly. You can do it in any pan, but funnily enough, if you use a non-stick one, it doesn't work so well. So choose a copper, aluminium or stainless steel, and it'll work well. Now it's boiling, it's making a lot of noise, and that is because we're driving off the moisture, and we're going to get a lovely syrup at the bottom, and I'm going to wait until it's a pale golden brown. So it's busy and fussy at the moment, and you can really go off and do another job if you wish at that time, but when it gets quiet, watch it. It's just turning to the right colour now, pale golden brown. Don't get it too dark because that's rather bitter. You notice how quiet it is. It's all that fussing because there's a lot of water in to start with. When you've driven off the water, it becomes peaceful. So don't answer the phone, don't answer the front door, just stand and watch it. And that's just right now. So off with the heat, and then pour in a little on the bottom of each one, like that. And that's just about, I've just got enough to top that one in the front again. That's it. And then leave that on the cooker as it is for the moment, and then soak it, and all that will come off. Run it over and leave it for just a few moments, and then grease it. You notice that I didn't grease it at the beginning because I'm greasing it with butter. If you grease it at the beginning and then pour a caramel on top, what happens is it goes fudgy. So just run around the top, and that will sort of drip down on the top. I've got 5 eggs in the bowl here. I'm now going to add sugar, 2 tablespoonfuls of caster sugar. You may have vanilla sugar, that's sugar that you store vanilla pods in, but I haven't, so I'm going to use just a little vanilla to give it a flavour. So just a few drops, then whisk that together. It's quite handy to do it in a jug like this because you've got something to hold on to. Whisk that just until you can run the whisk through. The mixture runs through the whisk, needs a bit more. Then I'm going to add the milk, and the milk wants to be hot so that you could just about hold your hand in the milk. Stretch over there, here it goes. Now, a good idea, it's 750 ml of milk here. It's a good idea to use real milk, you know, not skim milk. If you only have skim or semi-skim in the house, what you could do is add a little proportion of cream to that, and it would enrich it again. So make sure that's well mixed. Then the chefs pour it through a sieve, but I'm afraid I'm not going to do that. It's quite unnecessary. Just pour that in, and it comes almost to the top. And you see the caramel has gone absolutely firm on the bottom, and the sides are greased. Then you need to cook that into a bain-marie, and then pour boiling water around that. Why do we pour boiling water around? Because you get a steady, slow cooking if you do that. So I've boiled that already. Pour it halfway up. Just run down the side like that. Pour slowly. That's it. If you're using an aluminium roasting tin, a black line will very likely come when you cook in the oven bain-marie style. To stop that, just take some lemon. It could be left over from your gin and tonic or from squeezing using a lemon recipe, and that will stop all that. Now, the cooking of these, you want to cook them at 150 degrees centigrade, a little bit lower in a pan oven, 300 Fahrenheit, gas number 2. And this size will take about 45 minutes, but keep an eye on them. You want to cook them until they're just firm. When the caramel custards come out of the oven, lift them out of the tin, then put them in the fridge overnight. And when you come to turn them out, do it just before you serve them, because if you do them too soon, that wonderful caramel will lose its colour. And now, creme brulee. sheer luxury. Beat together 4 egg yolks, a few drops of real vanilla extract and 25 grams of caster sugar. Heat 600 mils of single cream, no need for the more traditional double cream. It should be just about too hot to hold your finger on. Let the cream cool a little and beat it into the egg yolk and sugar mixture, whisking all the time. Pour the mixture into buttered oven-proof ramekins. Cook in a bain-marie for 25 to 30 minutes or until set. Cool, cover and chill overnight in the fridge. About 3 hours before you want to serve the creme brulee, make the caramel topping. Cover the surface with a good layer of demerara sugar. Place under a preheated grill at maximum heat. Watch it all the time and see that it doesn't burn. Although brulee means burnt, don't take it too literally. Chill again before serving. It'll give the hard topping time to become slightly softer and easier to crack and eat. Chocolate is the great favourite in most households, so this is chocolate roulade, a real luxury dessert. I'm starting off with melting the chocolate, and I've got 175 grams of plain chocolate. It wants to be real chocolate with 35% fat in it, and read on the side, it'll say cocoa butter. And I'm going to add just a little brandy to this. This is optional, up to about 3 tablespoons. You see, I wasn't too generous. And leave that to melt on the top there. It'll take some time. It's just above hot water. Remember that chocolate melts in a child's pocket. If you do it too fast, it'll go grainy and won't work. And you must use real chocolate to get the best flavour. Now I'm going to take 6 egg yolks and I'm going to beat those with sugar. And I've got the sugar ready. It's best to use caster sugar. And I've got 175 grams of caster sugar. And then whisk those together. The quickest is to use an electric mixer, and it wants to be whisked until it's thick and creamy. Just start that off like that, and then faster. And you'll see that as I'm doing this, it's getting lighter and lighter and thicker and thicker. That's just it. Lovely and thick and foamy. Right, off with those beaters, give them a bang on the side. Right, now to the chocolate. That's melted and it's just hot water. If you have it any hotter, it's very likely to set. That's it. You can see the consistency there, runny. So drop that into the bowl. I'm going to have to get the scraper to it. And don't let's waste a scrap here. Every little bit coming out. That's it. And scrape the spoon. It's going to be quite a bit of washing up from this one, isn't there? That's it. Then just mix that together. That'll just be, and you just go on mixing that until it's no longer streaky. It's a bit marbled at the moment, but it's coming beautifully smooth. And then we've got to put the egg whites in it. And the egg whites beat with an electric beater, and it will come lovely and frothy, smooth. And here it is, already beaten. Looks a bit like cloud now because there's no sugar in it. Take a couple of spoonfuls of that and beat it in, and then you'll be able to fold the rest in. So if you try and fold it all in, it takes an awful long time. So just make that. That'll just run the mixture down, as the chefs would say. That's it. And then lastly, fold all the rest of the egg white in. Tip that up, slip out of the bowl. That's it. In the old days, they always used to fold in with a metal spoon, but I find it much better to use a spatula. Now I bet you're thinking at this stage, where's the flour? I haven't forgotten it. This recipe has no flour in. That's why the result is very, very like, it's not unlike a soufflé omelette, but you roll it up like a Swiss roll. So So go on right down to the bottom of the bowl until you no longer see these little white flecks. That's coming lovely and smooth. Now remember, I did put a dash of brandy in this, but really there's no need. It was just that added luxury. So it's got to be absolutely smooth, no flecks of white there. So it's now ready to go into the tin. I've got that underneath here already. And here it is. I've got a Swiss roll tin here, a large one, and what I've done is taken some non-stick baking parchment. Then take the mixture and pour it in. And you pour it in and it'll take its own level, and then you cook it in a moderate oven, 180 degrees centigrade, a little bit lower in a fan oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, gas number 4. And if you've got an Aga, as I have, it will go in the roasting oven with the cold shelf above and will take less time, about 8 or 10 minutes. 20 minutes in a conventional cooker. The best way to check if the sponge is ready is with your finger. It should be firm to the touch. Place a dry tea towel gently over the top. Then put another damp tea towel on top. This helps to keep the roulade damp. Then turn the cake onto a piece of baking paper liberally sprinkled with icing sugar. Carefully remove the lining paper and spread the cake with whipped cream. It'll take about 300 mils. Then, starting with the long edge, make a firm fold first. Roll the roulade using the paper to help. If you want a fatter roulade with more generous slices, roll it from the narrow end. Don't worry if it cracks, it's all part of its charm and is expected. Have a plate ready. I sometimes use a piece of cardboard wrapped in foil if I haven't got a plate the right size. That's chocolate roulade, always a favourite for very special occasions. And this is the promised death by chocolate cake, and it's our last chocolate recipe too. Right, what have I got in the bowl? I've got a plain flour this time, 190 grams, 2 level tablespoonfuls of cocoa, gives a nice chocolatey taste. Then I've got 1 level teaspoonful of bicarb and 1 level teaspoonful of baking powder. I've got 150 grams of caster sugar. And now to the other ingredients, 2 beaten eggs, which I've already beaten. In they go. Then 2 tablespoonfuls of golden syrup. It helps to heat the spoon. And I'm going to take 2, twist it round, and in it goes. And another one. So just heating it makes all the difference. That's it. Then I'm going to add milk, and that's 150 millilitres of milk. Doesn't matter what sort of milk it is. It could be full cream or skim. And then the oil, sunflower oil, 150 millilitres. Right, everything's in the bowl at this stage. You can beat it by hand, but I'm going to use a mixer which is quicker. Into the centre, start at slow speed, otherwise it'll go all over the table, and then you can speed it up later. Just until it's mixed. That's it, beautifully smooth, no streaks, so we know it's well mixed. Just clear any mixture, we want it all in there. There's the space, and now into the tins. I've got 2 20 centimetre tins, and I've lined those tins, if you look here, with just a disc of silicone paper, and that'll make sure that it'll really get out of the tin. So take the mixture and divide it equally between the tins, and it's a pouring consistency. You may think there's not enough mixture here, but in fact we've got loads of filling coming and a nice icing too. Let's try and get it equal. If you are really fussy, you could actually put them each side of a scales with weights, and then you'd know that it would be exactly right. Here are the cakes out of the tin. I've taken the paper off the bottom, and I'm going to put, first of all, a nice eclair of apricot jam. Not quite the same height, are they? But we don't get them right every time. So a little apricot jam. No, I haven't sieved it. There's no need to, really, and I hope that if there's some pieces in, I'll get the piece with the pieces in. I am being a bit generous, but it is something special. Then take the knife and spread that over. That's the top one. And if they usually dome a bit, so make sure that you keep the one that's underneath this one with the dome side upwards, otherwise it'll wobble when you cut it. Spread that evenly all over. Also, it stops any crumb coming up if you put apricot jam over the top. Then here we come to this lovely chocolate ganache. Ganache is just cream and chocolate. So take a little of it, it's cool now, to go in the middle. Spread that all over the top. It has that wonderful shine. You must make it with real chocolate. Don't try and use chocolate cake covering. Then lift that on top. And I have taken the paper off, remember. Press that. Give it a little push down like that. And then the rest of the ganache on top. And that's for a real special occasion. I can't wait to cut it. One problem area with lots of people is how to make meringues. I get lots of letters, phone calls about this, and I'm now going to show you how to have success every time. Then you'll be able to make pavlovas with their special marshmallow texture. Classic meringues for tea filled with cream. This raspberry roulade really does roll up like this without a problem. You might have seen this classic baked Alaska in one of my television series, but this is a speedy baked Alaska, which uses a ready-made sponge flan case to insulate a fruit and ice cream filling. It is all covered with meringue and given a short blast in a very hot oven. Or this hazelnut meringue cake, which also featured in my recent BBC series, and uses roasted and sliced hazelnuts in the meringue and in the filling too. Or this coffee and banana vacherin, which is perfect for a party, and I'll be showing you how to do this in a minute. Right, the rules for successful meringues, success every time. Take a clean bowl, put the egg whites into the bowl without any fat at all, none of the egg yolk, and then whisk on fast speed and keep the whisk moving. And do that, it'll take several minutes until it looks like cloud. Keep moving the whisk about the bowl. Right, that looks just about right. Turn the speeds down. And that looks just like cloud to me. Rest that on the side, and then here's the sugar, and again on full speed, add the sugar little by little, and it will get thicker and thicker and more shiny and more shiny. It's very unlikely you'll over whisk it, but it's much, much better to get it really stiff and shiny. So on full speed again, and gradually add the sugar. To the final teaspoon, just tip it in. Isn't it lovely when the noise stops? So it's beautifully shiny. Put that to one side. And it's really sort of holding its shape in peaks. Put that to one side. And that is wonderfully shiny and stiff. In fact, I can even hold it over my head. Now you can use that for any of those recipes you've just seen. I'm going to use it for lemon meringue pie. I've got here a 23 centimetre baked pastry case, and you can see it's standing up well, nice and firm, and I've already made the filling, and it's in here. And this, it's cool, and it's sort of a thickened custard. I'm going to take out that spatula now, and I've made it from the juice of 2 large lemons and the rind as well, and I mixed that with 40 grams of corn flour, and then I boiled in the pan the water, and that was 300 ml of water, and then I poured that onto the corn flour mixture and added egg yolks, 2 egg yolks mixed with sugar, and it was 85 grams of caster sugar. I then brought that all just up to the boil again, and it becomes a thickened custard when it's cold. It'll thicken quite well, and then let it get cold. If you try and put it in when it's very hot, you can't get the nice sticking with the meringue on top. So spread that, and it's really lemony. It's essential to use fresh lemons and not preserved lemon juice in a bottle. So spread that out. We do it with limes, I suppose, as a change. That's it. Last one going in. That's it. Then we come to the meringue mixture over the top. So put that over. Start from the outside, and then you must get a seal. Can you see what I'm doing there? I'm just pressing it up against the pastry, like that, over the top, and the rest in. And that really is a good mixture. I can remember our grandmothers would have made meringue using a copper bowl and a large copper bowl and a whisk. And that they got great success because it was a big bowl and they whisked with great vigour, and it took a long time, but it was always successful. But aren't we lucky to have machines these days? So get that spread out. A nice lot of meringue on the top there. It's always best, you can make the pastry case ahead, but it's best to eat it on the day that it's made. So when you've got all this meringue on, you bake it, and you bake it at 150 degrees centigrade. That's 300 degrees Fahrenheit, gas number 2, and it'll take about 45 minutes. If you're doing it in the Arga, you want to do that in the simmering oven, and that will take about the same time. And it just wants to be a very pale brown colour. Give it a few swirls like that. And that's one of the top family favourites for Sunday lunch. This is a coffee and banana vacherin. Sounds very posh, doesn't it? It's very French. It just really means 2 layers of meringue. This time I've made it with light muscovado sugar. So I'm going to put the meringue into a piping bag. I've got the bag being held in a jug here because I haven't got a spare pair of hands. So take the mixture and spoon it. Not too much at the very beginning. Drop it down to there, and I've got enough hands. That's it. And the next lot. Then pull this up. You see, it's quite easy, and I'm not going to get sticky. Up to the top like that. Then allow the mixture, put that to one side. Allow the mixture to come down, and then rather than twisting it, just put it round your thumb like that, and then you can turn it until you see some coming out of the end there. So, and pull this forward, and I'm going to make 2 circles, and it's always best, I'm twisting around my thumb, to start right from the middle. Then I'm going to work a circle right to the outside. So start from the middle boldly and just go round like that. It'll spread slightly. Now the surface that I'm piping on is a non-stick paper called Lift Off, and it's, you know, you can wash it and use it again and again. If you haven't got any of that, you can use just ordinary parchment that you throw away. Now when it comes to the baking time, you've got to bake it in a slow oven. It's 140 degrees centigrade, that's 275 Fahrenheit, gas number 1, and it'll take something like 1 hour 15 minutes. Once they're cold, sandwich the circles together with a mixture of whipped cream, dash of coffee and some sliced banana. Decorate with a dusting of icing sugar and some rosettes or perhaps blobs of whipped cream. Coffee and banana vacherin. I hope that's given you lots of ideas. I've done my bit. Now how about you having a go? I'm sure it's going to win lots of praise from all your family and friends, and lots of oohs and ahs and how delicious.